Welcome back to Connect and Transform. In this video, we're not going to do any coding or any real demos. We're just going to talk briefly about the idea behind how we're going to handle area and stacked area charts, and then talk about an additional feature that will probably be required. So if we look at this line chart here, we can imagine that if we reuse the code, we're getting most of the points that we'll need for the area chart. The only difference is that the area chart will have two additional points, which will be both on the x-axis, so the y position would be 0, and the x position would be equal to the rightmost and leftmost data points, and that would allow us to then create essentially a polygon. So we won't be using circles and lines, but we'll be storing all the points at which we're creating these circles and using that to construct a polygon. So we'll probably have two loops, one for series, one for data index. We'll grab our points at which contribute to our polygon. And then outside of those loops, we will add the two additional points that are right on the x-axis, and we'll construct our polygon there. Which brings me to the next realization. In this example, we have 4 series that all have exactly the same data, so it's essentially the same lines or the same polygons overlaid right over each other, which means if we were to add tooltips to this, we'd only be able to see the topmost series. As you can see here, everything says test 4, whereas all the other series are in exactly the same position. So I think we need to add a feature where if I hover over the series labels, it should bring that series to the forefront and perhaps highlight it by saying opacity equals 1. So add some kind of event listener to each of these series labels. Now let's change our data representation from line to line stacked, keeping in mind how it would correlate to area stacked. It's exactly the same thing as line. You can see how each circle here can contribute to the points of a polygon, and how, well, it's a little bit different because instead of having 2 additional points that are on the x-axis, you'll have double the points, and it'll be equal to the line below it. So for example, if we're thinking about this topmost series that is brownish in color, we've got its upper bounds here, which are equal to these calculated points using the code from line stacked. And we've also got its lower bounds, which are equal to the points of the most recent calculated series. So for all series except the lowest one, we already have the entire polygon calculated. And the lowest series, you could either add 2 points on the x-axis, or you could add n points, and you could just say that all of those points are 0. They're all exactly on the x-axis. So that's kind of a description of how I expect to handle area and area stacked. I'll start by just copying and pasting the code for line, and basically just using these circles as an array of points that will then generate a polygon outside of those loops. And then, like I mentioned, in the future we'll have to add some event handlers to the series labels. But when that's complete, this project will be considered complete. Thanks for watching.